Rangers were back on the pitch, and they got the win. But let's not kid ourselves. That performance left a lot to be desired. 3 points in the bag, sure, but the mood after the final whistle? Frustrated. Because it was another 90 minutes where fans were left scratching their heads, wondering what exactly is going on behind the scenes at Ibrox. You could feel it in the air, a kind of uneasy silence. Not the kind you get after a hard-fought victory, but the kind that makes you realize something's not quite right with the team. Now, to be fair, the game against Livingston did have its bright spots, and one man in particular stood out, James Taverner. The captain did what he does best, stepping up when the team needed it. His goal? Absolutely top drawer. Acrobatic, sharp, instinctive, everything you want from a leader. And even after missing a penalty just minutes later, he kept pushing, kept leading from the front. That's the kind of mentality you want at this club. That's what it means to wear the armband for Rangers. Russell Martin was full of praise for Tav after the match, calling him incredible and highlighting how he played in 3 different positions, drove the team forward, and set the tone with his energy and commitment. And listen, Martin's not wrong. For a big chunk of that first half, Rangers actually looked like a proper team. Controlled the tempo, played some slick football, and should've, killed the game off before the break. But here's the problem. Football isn't played in 45-minute bursts. And once again, Rangers came out for the second half looking flat, unfocused, and vulnerable. Livingston, a team that's fighting just to stay afloat in the league, found a way back in. The equalizer felt inevitable. It's been a recurring theme this season. A lack of control, a drop in intensity, and an inability to shut games down when it matters most. In the end, it took a late goal from Max Aarons to save the day. A moment of quality that sealed the win and maybe bought Martin a bit more time. But make no mistake, the win papered over some massive cracks. Supporters can see it. The performances aren't convincing, the identity on the pitch is still missing, and there's a growing sense that this team is nowhere near where it needs to be. And that brings us to the bigger picture, because it's not just about one game or one performance. Chris Boyd, never one to hold back, has put it all out there. He sent a clear warning to the club, and not just to the manager. He's pointed the finger right to the top of the organization. Sporting director, head of recruitment, boardroom leadership, Boyd's made it clear that the problems at Rangers go far beyond the touchline. Let's talk recruitment. Over the summer, Rangers made a splash by bringing in several names from Everton, including sporting director Kevin Thelwell and head of recruitment Dan Purdy. Big appointments, meant to take the club to the next level. But what's changed? What have they actually delivered? One of the most talked about signings was Youssef Chermatai, an £8 to £10 million gamble on a striker who, so far, looks miles off the standard required at Ibrox. The lad may have potential, but this is Rangers. You don't get time to slowly develop when you're chasing titles and trying to qualify in Europe. That signing alone has become a symbol of everything that's gone wrong with the recruitment strategy. No clear plan, no identity, just more questions than answers. Boyd said what many fans have been thinking. What exactly are Thelwell and Purdy doing? Where's the vision? Where's the progress? This isn't just about signing players for the sake of it. It's about building a squad that can compete at the highest level. Right now, it feels like Rangers are stuck in a cycle of mediocrity, spinning their wheels while rivals pull away. And let's not forget about that so-called root and branch review we were promised. That review was supposed to be a game changer, a deep dive into every aspect of the club, from football operations to player development to leadership structures. Fans were told to be patient, to trust the process. Months later, silence. No updates. No real changes. Just more of the same. Boyd's right to call it out. It's starting to look like another empty promise from a board that's lost touch with the expectations of this fan base. Then there's the managerial situation. The way the club handled the search after Michael Beale's departure? Utterly baffling. Russell Martin was out of work for a while, and when his name was floated, most people were scratching their heads. Not because he's a bad coach, but because it felt like a massive step down in ambition. There were other candidates with stronger resumes, more experience, more pedigree. But somehow, the club landed on Martin. And now, with the team underperforming, it's the decision-makers who are being questioned just as much as the manager himself. It's not just about the results, either. It's about the style of play, the attitude, the confidence, the cohesion. Right now, Rangers look like a team stuck in limbo. Not bad enough to collapse completely, but nowhere near good enough to challenge properly. And supporters aren't daft. They can see the signs. They know when something isn't working. That's why the pressure is mounting, not just on Martin, but across the entire structure of the club. And as if the domestic struggles weren't enough, the European campaign started with a bang, and not the good kind. A 1-0 defeat at Ibrox to Genk, and once again, the performance left fans deflated. Rangers were down to 10 men after Mohamed Diomand's red card in the first half, and although there were moments of fight, they never looked truly in control. Former Celtic man Oh Hyung-yu missed a penalty, missed a few sitters, but eventually, he made Rangers pay. And that goal felt like a hammer blow. You could feel it in the crowd, the frustration, the tension, the disbelief. Another European night at Ibrox, another wasted opportunity. And it all feeds into the same narrative. Where is this club going? What's the direction? How can a team go from beating Hibernian with confidence to crashing at home just days later with no real sign of progress? And look, the players aren't blind to it. They know the pressure is on. They know the fans are restless. You hear it in the post-match interviews. You can see it in their faces. Guys like Asgard are trying to stay positive, talking about sticking to principles, trying to bounce back. But the truth is, Rangers don't have time for patience. The season's barely started, and already the margin for error is razor thin. Every drop point feels like a crisis. Every defeat opens up fresh wounds. There are protests now. Fans making their voices heard loud and clear, against the manager, against the CEO, against a board that's failed to deliver. It's not just online grumbling anymore. It's banners, chants, walkouts. It's real. And unless something changes quickly, it's going to get worse before it gets better. Right then, let's pick up where we left off, because this story is far from over. A late winner might have saved face on the scoresheet, but it's not fooling anybody. The truth is, Rangers are teetering on the edge of a season that could unravel fast if something doesn't change, and soon. You talk to the fans outside Ibrox, you scroll through the forums, you listen to the noise. It's not just moaning for the sake of it. This is real concern, built on months, maybe even years, of frustration that's been swept under the rug by the people in charge. And that's exactly what Chris Boyd was getting at. This isn't just a bad run of form. This is systemic. It's not about one manager or one bad signing. It's a reflection of how disconnected the upper levels of the club have become from what's happening on the pitch. The passion is still there. You see it in the away ends. You hear it every time the team runs out. But the connection between the fans and the board? That's wearing thinner by the day. Let's not sugarcoat it. The board's decision-making has been all over the place. We've seen it in the timing of sackings, in the hesitation with appointments, in the scattergun transfer strategy. There's no joined-up thinking, no clear long-term vision, and certainly no accountability. Fans are asking simple questions and getting no answers. Who's really calling the shots in recruitment? What are the criteria for signing players? What's the club's identity on the pitch supposed to be? None of that has been communicated properly. And when you fail to communicate, you lose trust. That's where Rangers are right now. The fans are starting to believe the people running the club don't have a clue how to fix things. And in football, especially in Glasgow, once you lose the fans, it's a long road back. You look at some of the recent signings, and it tells a story in itself. We've already talked about Chermatai, but it's not just him. There are players coming in who look like square pegs in round holes. Guys who don't fit the system. If we can even say there is a system. That's the problem. The club's recruitment feels reactive instead of proactive. It's like they're plugging gaps instead of building a squad with purpose. That kind of short-term thinking never works at a club like Rangers. It's not sustainable. It's not good enough. And the manager has to take some blame too. Russell Martin came in with words like philosophy and principles and identity. All the right things, to be fair, but where is it on the park? What's the style of play? What's the game plan? Because right now, it just looks like 11 guys being sent out and told to sort it themselves. You can see it in the way we play. Disjointed, passive, uninspired. The lack of intensity, the lack of aggression, the slow transitions, it's not what you expect from a Rangers team, and the fans aren't willing to settle for it. Martin keeps saying the players are buying in, that they're sticking to the plan, that they're building something. And maybe they are, behind the scenes. But results matter. Performances matter. You don't get months and months to tinker when you're at a club that demands silverware. And let's be honest, This squad doesn't look anywhere near ready to mount a serious challenge, whether it's domestically or in Europe. The defeat to Genk was a sore one, not just because of the result, but because of how toothless Rangers looked again. You're at home, under the lights, in a European tie, and the team just looked flat. No spark, no bite. Down to 10 men. But even before the red card, it wasn't convincing. And the fact that the only goal came from a former Celtic player? That just added insult to injury. The kind of night that lingers, not just for the fans, but for the players too. Confidence takes a hit. Morale dips. And now every game becomes twice as hard. You heard it in Asgard's voice after the match. The disappointment, the frustration. They wanted to build momentum, to back up the win against Hibs, to get the fans back on side. But that loss felt like a step backwards. It's always, we'll bounce back. It's always, we created chances. But those words start to mean less when the results don't follow. And that's the thing. Rangers are at a stage now where every dropped point feels like a disaster. The pressure is suffocating, not just for Martin, but for every player that pulls on the shirt. You can feel the fear in the performances. Players second-guessing themselves, not trusting each other, playing it safe. That's not the Rangers' way. This club was built on bold football, on fearless attitudes, on leaders all over the pitch. Right now, there are too many passengers. The supporters aren't asking for perfection, they never have. But they are asking for honesty, for fight, for leadership. They want to see a team that looks like it's working for each other, for the badge, for the fans. And more than anything, they want to see a club that matches their ambition. That's why the protests have started. That's why the calls for change are growing louder. This isn't just knee-jerk reaction stuff. This is years of frustrations boiling over. And it's no use pretending the fans are the problem. This is a support that travels in numbers, that sings for 90 minutes, that backs the team week after week even when it's painful to watch. But they've had enough of empty promises, of press conferences filled with buzzwords, of projects that never come to life. They want substance. They want results. And now the pressure's on, in a way that can't be ignored. It's on Martin. It's on the players. But it's especially on the board. They're the ones who chose this path. They're the ones who promised change. And they're the ones who will be held accountable if it all comes crashing down. There's no hiding from it now. The fans have spoken, and unless something drastic happens soon, whether that's in the dugout, in the recruitment team, or right at the top of the club, this season could slip away before it's even properly started. Before we continue, make sure to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications to get all the exclusive news about Rangers FC. Don't overlook any details about your beloved team. It's crucial for Rangers FC fans. In what's being whispered across the terraces as a stunning late-night twist, John Souttar, the Rangers' towering defender, is reportedly on his way to the Premier League, with Brentford said to have swooped in for a rapid-fire deal. Fans at Ibrox are still rubbing their eyes, wondering if it's a daft dream or a shrewd move under the radar. Sources close to the club claim the transfer talks were so quick, they barely had time to put the kettle on before the paperwork was allegedly signed. Souttar, who has long been a mainstay at the heart of Rangers' defense, has seen his name linked with big moves south before, but nothing like this has supposedly taken shape. Brentford, the Bees who have impressed in the English top flight with their clever recruitment and industrious style, are believed to have made an offer that Rangers found hard to refuse. The Scottish Giants, always pragmatic in the market, might view this as a smart cash injection, though supporters will be fuming to see a homegrown star potentially head off across the border. The rumor mill suggests the player himself is quietly buzzing at the prospect of testing himself in England, where the pace and physicality are a step up, and where a strong season could put him firmly in the national team reckoning. A few insiders hint that he's already scouting London flats and dreaming of Bees training sessions, though Rangers fans are adamant they hope the whispers are just that, whispers. Social media is ablaze, naturally. Some fans are mourning, posting pictures of Souttar in the navy blue jersey with captions dripping in disbelief. Others are more pragmatic, accepting that football is a business and players will move for the right opportunity. Rumors suggest that the fee is substantial, possibly enough for Rangers to reinvest in a replacement, but the deal's lightning speed has left everyone scratching their heads. How did it all happen so fast? How much did Brentford pay? And crucially, will Souttar be pulling on that Bees strip next week, Or are we all just spinning our wheels over unverified chatter? Regardless, the talk of the town is unmistakable. John Souttar to Brentford has become the hot topic from Glasgow pubs to Scottish football forums. Even die-hard fans who usually prefer to keep their powder dry are whispering excitedly or anxiously about what this could mean for both clubs. If true, it's a seismic shift in the summer transfer rumor landscape, one that might just redefine how Rangers approach their backline in the coming season. Stay tuned, because if this deal really is on the cards, football fans across Scotland and England could be in for one heck of a surprise. Greetings, fans. Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, as it's greatly appreciated by Rangers FC. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments section below. Until the next video, stay tuned.